Mm, Live everywhere. Last thing that goes, the threadcast stuff. All right, everything's live. I'm working on the threadcast recording right now, but let's do a quick audio check. Mitch, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, let me.
I got you on Zoom, but not Space.
Yeah, I just had to unmute on the spaces. Should be good
Cool.
now.
Yep, got you there. Eric, you want to audio check?
GM.
Cool. All right, we're good everywhere. Sweet. Welcome back, everybody. We are back with the AMA. Small sabbatical. We didn't have one last week. There is a lot going on in the world. So while I get the last of these announcements out and record the threadcast, why don't we start with a little bit of market talk? Obviously, it's November 5th, kind of a big day in the world. Um, Mitch, let's start with you. What do you make? I recorded a video this morning and talked a little bit about the elections, and how I imagine it will impact the, economy, world, et cetera. Uh, I think it's a pretty important moment, for a lot of reasons. And I think also as an investor, trader, person that speculates on the markets, I think it's a pretty volatile thing to bet on, probably the most volatile of the cycle. So I've personally positioned my portfolio in a certain way, and I'd love to hear your guys' take. But Mitch, what's your take overall on you can get political if you want, but just from a investment
Mhm.
perspective.
I mean, the irony is that I planned on doing it this morning, and then next thing I know, it was like noon, and I'm looking at like the futes right now because I was plugging in entry orders as we were getting online to like put on some short hedges on Bitcoin just as some protection. But I'm like, maybe I should just wait until like we actually get to where they start, right when they start putting out numbers because Bitcoin's ripping right now. It's up 2,500 points. So like you said, volatility. There's gonna be a shit ton of volatility today, and I expect there to be volatility late into the night, when the results come out. And if we don't have a clear winner, which we haven't had clarity early on in the last two elections, I think that's going to lead to more volatility. Um, so it should be interesting. On the flip side, I don't know, like we're in this environment where it seems like half the US nation thinks we're effed economically um, if Trump doesn't win, and meaning that like, you know, the view of Republicans and conservatives is that like we're totally effed if he loses, right? And so obviously it's not every single conservative, but it's enough majority where that's been the theme. And I'm like, so if he loses, what does this look like? Is there going to be a big sell-off because, 40% of people are like, I'm getting out of Dodge and, they're going to cash or what does that mean? So I find that pretty interesting, just because there's such a divide and there's such a strong view on, you know, what things will look like based on X or Y outcome. So this is kind of why I'm putting on a hedge, a Bitcoin hedge. I honestly might put on a leverage trade both ways, to be honest with you, because there's that scenario that Bitcoin can absolutely rip, um, assuming like Trump wins. And then there's a wild card of who knows what the F is going to happen with Bitcoin in terms of the reaction if Harris is to win. Yeah, the vibe has generally been that it's Bitcoin negative, but you never really know how stuff's going to play out until it happens. So I think the only thing that everyone can agree on is that there likely will be volatility over the next 24 to 48 hours. And that's kind of, I guess, all I'm really focusing on. How can I position myself to benefit or at least not get hurt from that?
Yeah. Yeah, I generally agree with that. And I do think that most people think that Trump is going to be or obviously positive for the markets. And then, obviously Kamala would be a net negative. And I tend to agree with that. Eric, what is your take, especially as someone kind of from the outside looking in, from a lot of perspective?
4 years ago, I was incredibly sure that Trump would win. And then, whatever happened, happened. And I kind of lost any kind of interest towards elections in the US because I don't know, it just felt like the system was kind of rigged. And I don't remember. I think I lost like $500 or something like that, nothing big. But that being said, I am no longer gonna bet on things like that. Polymarket has $3 billion worth of bets, and that's just the crypto bets. So it's hard to think that it's not gonna get any kind of shady stuff going on. It's hard to think that I don't think it's going to be it's not smart to bet right now. That being said, I am definitely having I have around $1,000 waiting for the election results, and once these are announced, I have a small strategy to short the shit out of Bitcoin or long a lot of it. But I'm pretty sure, or at least that's what I'm expecting, that if Trump wins, there's going to be a small, well, not small, a short-term time frame where Bitcoin is going to go down just to what's the word, to burn all of the shorts, no, all of the longs, and then it's going to go up. So that's where I'm going to do my entry and try to long Bitcoin right after the sell the news kind of sell off. And if Kamala wins, I am going to short Bitcoin after the first what do you call it, the first pump, because the whales are not going to give easy money to any normie betting on this. So my take is that what's going to happen is that they are simply going to liquidate all of the shorts or longs, and then the real price action will start. So I'm just gonna longer short 10x leverage with $1,000, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the manipulation stuff definitely is a concern. I think there's so many eyes on that, and on it, especially from both sides. So, we'll have to see, and definitely, the poly market stuff can be manipulated as well. So, yeah, I didn't get involved. I remember last time we had on Hive Engine, there was like a, Trump wins, Biden wins thing. That some people were involved with, and many of us used it to bet. And I think there was kind of a surprise in terms of the outcome. So yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. My general take is and I kind of talked about in that video I recorded earlier, but my general take is that I think Trump's going to win, and kind of staying out of the politics of that. I think it's good for the markets, good for the overall economy. And I think that I think the markets are already showing, that people believe that that's kind of the outcome that's coming. Um, the S&P is up over 1%, NASDAQ's almost up 2% today. A lot of tech stocks are up quite heavily. And then obviously Bitcoin is up a lot. So, last night we saw a huge dip in the markets, and we talked about this in some private group chats. And I also talked about it in my sub-only threads where I kind of share my trades. But the markets went down a lot last night, and I think it's just kind of people, being fearful of what's coming. Like, a lot of people do that. They know that there's, uncertainty coming, so they want to take some risk off, and crypto's obviously very risk oriented. So if you're going to remove some risk from your portfolio, crypto is probably a place where you're going to do that. So we saw, the whole crypto market drop pretty heavily. So last night I took the time to buy up a lot of stuff because I'm obviously pretty bullish on the results of this election from a trading perspective and from a markets perspective. So I ended up buying a bunch of Rune yesterday at like 4:30, which ended up being the bottom. And if you go back through my sub-only threads, you would see that too. So yeah, generally, I'm pretty bullish, and that's how my portfolio is positioned for the results. So we'll see what happens. I tend to think it's not going to be a sell the news event. I think it's going to be people are kind of 50-50 on what the results are going to be. And when the results come out, and I think they're going to come out in a certain direction, I think people are going to be even more bullish. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I think it's an interesting time because we've got obviously the halvening cycle for Bitcoin. Altcoins haven't been doing that well. Bitcoin is kind of near all-time highs. It's only a couple thousand off all-time highs. But altcoins are still struggling very, very hard. So we haven't really seen the bull market we've all been waiting for. And then we've also got rate cuts that are happening. And then obviously all this election stuff. So just a very volatile, very global event-driven time for all markets, but especially for crypto markets, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think you just have to be mindful of all that and make sure that you're positioning yourself according to your beliefs in terms of where things are headed and what's going to happen. But yeah, I would say if I had to like TLDR, my general sentiment is that I'm pretty bullish going into this event tonight and pretty bullish going into the end of this year and beginning of 2025. So that's kind of how my portfolio is positioned. And quick plug, if you want to see the behind the scenes of my portfolio, you can subscribe to my creator subscription. So with all that, out of the way, we didn't have an AMA last week, but we released V2 threads on Friday. So obviously a really big release. So many of you have probably seen the effects. I've seen some positive reactions about the speed of threads, with this update and some of the new features that came with it as well. This was a pretty big infrastructure rewrite. So there's a couple of things that needed to happen for the end of this year with all the new users getting onboarded. So to make things more scalable, we had to build V2 threads. So that's been known. And to make things, faster, smoother, better user experience, and certain features that I've been wanting to do for a long time, like, for example, having a back button that actually takes you back to the correct place in the feed. Certain things like that we needed V2 threads before they could happen. So this was kind of like a necessary, infrastructure release and upgrade. So I would say the scalability of, the INLEO platform in general is more than 10x. The speed of it is vastly improved, and we've got metrics and ways to test that as well. So hopefully you guys have noticed that. The release was relatively smooth. We did have some downtime here and there, and I put out some announcements about that downtime. We also built a page that shows when there is, downtime happening that's scheduled. So the release has overall been pretty smooth considering how big of a update it was. And overall, I'm pretty happy with it, but definitely looking for more feedback. There are some bugs and some things that are broken that we need to fix. So if you do run into any issues, I urge you to post a thread with the hashtag feedback, and include a screenshot, include, steps to how you got there, You know, for example, like I clicked on this rethread and then it didn't open what I expected it to open, and here's a screenshot of what happened. You know, just being an example. So, and if it's so bad that you can't even post the thread, then post that in like the Discord general chat, if you can't post the thread, so that we can see it and fix it. But yeah, we're fixing all the bugs right now. While you guys send in that feedback, and hopefully you send it in, you know, you send a lot of feedback so we can fix it quickly. We are also working on the Dash integration. So, you know, just for a quick update on that front, because I know that everyone's excited about the Dash partnership. Um, you know, one critical thing that we need to do for Dash is fixing the LeoDex, you know, Hive aggregation system. And when I say fixing, I mean turning it into an automated system that's much easier to use. Both if you're just going to LeoDex and trying to swap Hive, but also automating it so that when Dash users are onboarded, we can do the one thing that so there's like three key things for the Dash integration. You know, one is allowing Dash users to sign up and sign in with their wallet to a Hive Lite account using INLEO. The second is being able to pay for premium and creator subscriptions, and then obviously for any future products and services on the INLEO platform using Dash. And the third piece is that they can get automated cash outs in Dash. So like if they want to earn their rewards in Dash as opposed to earning them in, you know, Leo Hive and HPD, I think that that's another critical piece. And we kind of frame this all up with the Dash team to really figure out how we could get the most impact in terms of monthly active users. So those are kind of like the three key pillars of the Dash update. And the payments part, so that number two of what I talked about, and then the cash outs part, number three of what I talked about, both require an automated Hive aggregation rail on LeoDex. So we've been working on creating that automation. So that part is actually done, and we're testing it with LeoDex. And then now what we're working on is the light account protocol. So allowing those Dash users to obviously sign up and sign in on INLEO using their Dash wallet. That's proven to be a little bit more difficult than I expected, just because there's some critical kind of authentication infrastructure that's not in place that I thought would be in place. So we're going to have to actually build our own authentication system for it, which is not a huge deal. It's just going to require a little extra work than I expected. That's how it tends to go when you develop stuff like this. But once that is all in place, it'll all go into testing. We're going to work really closely with the Dash team to test it all. And then I was actually talking to Joel yesterday that, you know, we want to do some press releases and have an actual like marketing strategy to roll all this stuff out and make sure that we can maximize the impact. Because the Dash team's extremely excited about this. Obviously, we're extremely excited about this. Dash has a huge brand. They have the potential to bring in, you know, tens of thousands of users, in my opinion. So if this is executed correctly, I think we could see, you know, an onslaught of new users come in a very short period of time. So, you know, we need to make sure that everything works really well. It's bug free. The user experience is good. Obviously, they're earning Dash because that's what they want. And then, you know, Dash has a lot of really cool features in terms of being able to spend it in the real world. So, you know, basically our marketing strategy is going to be centered around this idea that, you know, Dash can be spent in the real world. And then now you can earn Dash by being social on a blockchain-based social media platform, which is INLEO and the Hive blockchain. So, you know, with that kind of message in place and all the technical infrastructure built, I think we have a really good shot at you know, onboarding tens of thousands of users and having some really fun you know, having a really fun couple of weeks coming up with onboarding, retaining, you know, educating these users. So I've been spending a lot of time, obviously, on all the technology for this, talking to the Dash team, you know, talking with our team and making sure that everything's ready. And then also I've been updating the docs, so the INLEO docs a lot, you know, with information on how everything works, so that, you know, when these new users come in, my goal is that the docs are so good that you guys, as the existing community, can really take different links from the docs and just point them in the right direction and say, okay, you know, you're curious about how the rewards pool system works. Here's a link to how that works. You know, you're curious about how the referral system works and how you can earn with that. Here's a link to how that works. you're curious about creator subs, how to use it, how to set it up. Here's how that works. You're curious about going premium. Here's how that works. So having all that stuff in place is really important. So obviously a lot of different things being worked on simultaneously, but that's where my focus has been lately, and really just preparing for all these new users. So that's the kind of wrap up of what we've been doing lately. With V2 getting launched, Leo Dex updates, and then the Dash integrations. So with all that, we've also been working on onboarding meme communities. So the last couple chain chatters, we've had a few different meme communities on, and then I've been talking with them, one-on-one, to actually onboard them into INLEO accounts. So you may have noticed that two of the ones I've been talking to have created INLEO accounts, both personally and for their communities. And then they're going to start posting on X and other places, and using the referral link. So I've been educating them on how their referral link works. So they're going to use their referral link to onboard their community to INLEO and get active. So I'm really excited from a user's perspective of the impact of Dash combined with all these meme communities. So that's all been going extremely well, and I'm very happy with the progress so far.
Yep. Fish. Now that there are some words of wisdom, every single one is a true gem. Yeah, I mean, what I'm most excited about is the marketing plan for Dash, because like you say, done right, Dash has a big brand, has a big presence, and it's going to benefit INLEO a lot. Big Van, it's time, guys. Maybe Kyle will explain why he shifted the time this time around. Well, there wasn't any time shift for the AMA, actually. It's just that the US changes their time zone into daylight savings, and the whole world already, they already are not doing that anymore.
Yeah,
But
it's dumb.
It
It's
is
literally
dumb.
this weekend. I think so many. I didn't even realize, honestly, if it wasn't for my phone, like I woke up Sunday morning, I got up early because I was gonna go play basketball, and I look at my clock and I'm like, wait, what? How did I oversleep? And then I look at my phone, I'm like, oh no, I didn't oversleep. And it was funny. The park was more crowded than it had been in forever because I think that extra hour, worked out favorably. But everyone, we were talking about that. Everyone's like, this is dumb. Why do we still do this? Like, we don't need like it's not the 30s anymore. Like we have electricity and we have lights, and at this point, I guess it benefits like farmers in the Midwest. But I mean, shit, machines are doing 90% of that work now anyway. So there's been discussion of it getting removed, but nothing ended up happening.
Yeah, no, it's kind of dumb, and obviously it impacts a lot of things because all of our stuff is timed like noon Eastern, and for a lot of you guys, it's a different time locally versus noon Eastern. But yeah, the noon Eastern has not changed. So just you might have to like just Google, your local time to noon Eastern and just kind of adjust to that. But it happens, obviously.
Yeah, and Big Van, don't feel bad. Actually, our team meeting yesterday suffered from that because neither Tansika nor myself knew or were aware of this, and then we also missed it. So
It's funny as much as like UTC time is annoying. I remember when I was doing like the MSP radio show, everything was UTC time. So it was like, all right, we'll just use something that's universal. But that was annoying because you're constantly just like doing the conversion. But hey, we have inches and yards and daylight savings times. So US likes to be
Yep.
difficult.
yeah, Beehiver, he came up with a nice challenge for today to do 100 threads during the day. I've started to lose hope on that, but with today's AMA, I might make it. Yeah, I mean, 100 threads a day, it's not that much. What, you have to spend like, what, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour interacting with people? That's pretty. Pretty normal. Well, maybe not. Maybe like an hour, right? So you have like 30 seconds to read and 30 seconds to reply. I mean, the hotkeys are good because then you don't have to do the mouse thing and then, waste some time.
Went on to said X has been kicking you out. If X ever acts up, because it does with pretty high frequency, just switch over to the YouTube link. I'll just drop that again because I edited the thread, but it doesn't seem to be updating. So let me I'll get the YouTube link and drop it in the threadcast right now. But YouTube's generally pretty stable. And then you also get the video, obviously. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, I also saw a few people say the threadcast isn't auto updating for them. I noticed that bug as well. I think it's a V2 bug, so I just ping the devs on it. We'll get it fixed today.
Yep. Same issue. Just
Yeah.
refresh instead.
Yeah, so again, V2 and I do have a blog post from the @LeoVerse Finance account ready to get pushed out, but V2 was a rewrite of pretty much the entire UI's back end for threads. So there were like, I don't even know, before we pushed it live, probably 75-ish bugs that we found in private testing before even pushing it to production. And then obviously once we push it to production, then you guys find a lot of stuff that we didn't, because there's a lot of nuance with devices and just different features that, with a small test group, you just can't find those things. So, being that it's an update that really kind of changed like a lot of, really impacted the majority of features and the way that threads work in general. That's obviously why you're just going to have random bugs like Threadcast suddenly not working. So we just need you guys to report that stuff to the hashtag feedback tag, and then we can fix it very quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, you should notice a pretty dramatic speed improvement in Threads V2. We did a bunch of benchmark testing, and it's dramatically faster. So you should notice that.
And yeah, there's a lot. Oh, no INLEO official election threadcast today. Yeah, that's a good idea, Anderson. Yeah, maybe we should do one. Maybe
Yeah,
even
I actually put up a poll a few hours ago and said, should I do a threadcast for the election results? Because I'll be watching, obviously, and paying attention. So you can go to my profile and see if I should do that, vote on it.
I mean, not a bad idea if you're just going to be by your machine watching results anyway.
Exactly.
Threadcast, little election threadcast. I mean, makes
Yeah.
sense. Think about Twitter. I'm sure there'll be plenty of
Right.
action on Twitter when it comes to the election ebbs and flows.
Yeah, I'll plan on doing a threadcast. Maybe I'll even do a video live stream. I don't know. At least the threadcast, maybe a video live stream, but I don't know. I'm not obviously not like a political talking head. I don't have enough to say about it, really, to be honest with you. I pay attention to politics mostly because they affect markets. Sometimes my toolbar at the bottom covers up the like and comment buttons when I'm looking at it. Can you post that? Can you post a screenshot of that and use the hashtag self-help for trolls as like a top level thread? And then I'll make sure to do that once we jump off. And by the way, PSA, once we jump off the AMA today, I'm going to go straight to the hashtag feedback tag and collect all the bugs that I see there. So if you want something fixed today, you should report it. Report it while we're live here, and then obviously do it as a top level thread. Don't do it as a reply in the threadcast. And then I will immediately get it to the team and fix it today. One thing with the V2 update that I've been doing, using the trending page, the trending feed for threads is now a lot more enjoyable. And you can go and try it to see what I mean. So if you go to the trending page now, since the back button works, and you can just kind of scroll through the trending page, and like it's obviously not chronological. You can just like scroll through and find a lot of different threads that you probably wouldn't have found before, and obviously click on them, reply, upvote, read the other replies, and then you can click the back button and it'll take you right back to where you were in the feed. I've noticed that's it's a huge quality of life improvement in terms of scrolling the feed. So just a little life hack if you want to try using the trending feed more. I noticed a lot of people don't really use the trending feed, but the back button definitely makes it more enjoyable. The For You feed, we still need to work on the back button there, because what happens is when the For You feed automatically reorients itself every time you refresh the page. And I need to make it so the back buttons actually ignores that reorientation so that it takes you back to the right place in the For You feed. So I would say probably in the next like day or two, that'll get fixed as well, where using the back button in the For You page will actually work. But it works right now in the latest trending, works really well. Even in the Threadcast, it works well too. So
You ever asked, does the Threadcast have its own container on the Hive blockchain, or is it also part of a container with other threads?
no, it's just a part of the broader container. But if you think about it, it's kind of like a subcontainer of the main container, because you have the reply and then like basically my top thread, which is a reply to the blog post container, and then all of your replies in the threadcast are a reply of my reply. So then you kind of have it's kind of a subcontainer of the main container.
And for the chance we have any complete newbies joining us for the first time, what is a container?
Container is something that INLEO got a lot of flack for when we developed, but now everybody's followed suit with. People thought it was a horrible idea and that it clogged up the blockchain, and now you see that every UI has their own container approach. Um, and what it is it's literally just a blog post. It's an automated blog post that gets posted by the official like @LeoThreads account. So it's a blog post, and then every time you make a thread, your thread is actually just a comment on the blog post, but then our UI shows it as a thread. And this was my solution to the problem on Hive for microblogging, which is, people have social standards around how many times you can make a blog post. So you can't make 50 blog posts a day, because then people on Hive will get mad at you, for auto voting. And that's just the social standard of Hive. There is actually also a blockchain limitation, because you can only make a L1 blog post every 5 minutes. So obviously you'd have to wait every 5 minutes to make a thread. So being that those two things were in place, my workaround for that was the container approach, where the official INLEO account would make a blog post, and then all of you guys would comment on it, and that would be a thread. So that's how we circumvented the L1 issues, and obviously now containers are a standard on Hive. Um,
It was a needed solution. I mean, because at the end of the
yeah,
day, like you said, the second point, there was a bandwidth issue. And if we're going to have any kind of volume on the interface, it wasn't possible with them basically being blog posts. So, which makes
yeah,
sense. It's become, used elsewhere now. So, cool, good stuff.
yeah. It was a good question though. A lot of people have questions about how the container thing works. But yeah, yeah, I'm on manga. I remember when everyone was against the container idea. Good times. Yeah, it was funny when we released that. I remember it was like Armageddon. People hated us, and now everyone loves it. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's like that when you innovate new ideas, people tend to resist them. They don't want the change. But then once they see it actually working, they all follow suit. And that's really a testament to you guys, the community, because without you guys making threads and being active and showing the blockchain that this is something that people desire, nobody would have followed suit. So really a testament to you guys, and the fact that INLEO does nearly 30% of all comments on the Hive blockchain now.
Yeah,
Random
30%
sidebar.
is huge.
Yeah.
At one
Self-help
point,
patrols has a good question. Will we be able to log into the Dash interface with our existing Hive accounts? Can we also choose to cash out in Dash 1 day a month, for example? So the Dash integration is geared towards Dash users. So it is meant for people who are already using Dash and not using INLEO. So if you have an existing Hive account, there's really not going to be much of a difference for you other than the fact that there's going to be a lot of new users on the platform, which is ultimately a net positive both for the Hive blockchain and for obviously Leo token price, the INLEO platform in general, et cetera. A lot of new users, a lot of new, and if you're a creator with creator subscriptions, it's a lot of new potential people that could subscribe to you if you put out good content and are compelling. So the net positive for us being here already is the new users. For them, they're gaining the ability to log into INLEO using their Dash wallet, and being able to create a Hive account and not self-custody the keys, and instead use their Dash wallet as an authentication service. So very similar to how the X and Google protocol works that we've built, where you can use your X or Google account to authenticate the Hive account so that you don't have to self-custody right away. And we call that a light account. It's a very similar approach. So that's how that works. And then in terms of cashing out, there's no time that you can choose. It's a preset dollar figure. So every time it reaches a certain dollar figure, it will auto cash you out if you're a Dash user that signed up through the Dash Lite account protocol. It's just a preset dollar figure. So just for example, not sticking to these numbers, but every time your wallet reaches $5 in liquid rewards, so that's Leo and HBD, the Lite account will automatically cash that out into Dash. So then you get $5 less any fees through LeoDex into your Dash wallet address as Dash crypto, obviously. So it's not a time thing, it's a rewards thing. TLDR. Also, there aren't really Dash interfaces. That's kind of the other part of your question. There's the Dash wallet, obviously, but there's like Dash is meant to be used as like a payment in the real world. So there's no real like Dash interface necessarily. It's more they have their wallets and the ability to use it to pay for things. So yeah, if you want to, and I see your follow-up, if you wanted to navigate the Dash interface, I would recommend downloading their Dash mobile wallet. And then you can, I think they're calling it Dash Pay. I think they're renaming it actually this week. I don't know if they've already done it or not, but Dash Pay is what it's called, and that's their main wallet app. So it'll be fun to see that kind of take shape. And it's really cool. Like if you really think about it from like a Dash user perspective, which is what we're really focused on here, it's really cool because their whole premise is they can spend Dash in the real world. So they can come on INLEO and they can use the platform on a daily basis, and then say every month they're earning like $20 in Dash rewards sent to their Dash wallet automatically. Then they go out in the real world and they go buy a cup of coffee or something, for example, and they use the Dash Pay mobile app to pay for that cup of coffee, and they can see that like the $20 came in from their rewards of being active on INLEO, and then they're buying their cup of coffee basically for free, from sweat equity. So I think the fact that that entire process is automated, I think is really cool because they literally just log into INLEO, they're active on a daily basis, and then they're just getting Dash sent to their wallet on a continual basis as they earn. And I think that's going to be really powerful when you start to see a couple Dash users earning, big dollar figures. I think that it's going to be really encouraging to other Dash users to then follow suit. And the way that we've built INLEO, and I always like to say this, that we've spent really the last 5 years since INLEO started getting the technology to this point. The way that we've built these value accrual models is that the more users we can get, the more the Leo price is going to go up. And the more that Leo price goes up, the more the dollar figure of the rewards will go up. And it creates that self-perpetuating system. So I'm just really excited to see that explosion in users, token price of Leo going up, and then obviously them being able to spend the Dash that they earn in the real world, and then that creating kind of a virality effect for onboarding new users. Part of the marketing that we're doing with the Dash team is collaborating on Brave ads. So you can imagine, and we've kind of talked about some of the frameworks and the ideas of what we're going to do with these ad campaigns. But one idea is there's going to be an ad that says, sign up to INLEO for blockchain social media. And I'm not exact words, but the premise of it is sign up to INLEO for blockchain-based social media and earn Dash rewards. So you can imagine that Dash has that recognition across the crypto industry that we don't have. So if you pair the features and the technology that we've built with their brand recognition, I think that it's a magical combination in terms of onboarding people. So really excited to see that kind of play out in the real world. Tass said, the volume on Leo will increase if Andresino does a daily news threadcast instead of slacking off. That's pretty funny. Task also said we should have a much higher percentage of total transactions on Hive. Leo should account for 50% of it. I truly think that by the end of this year, and not just speaking on comments, but just speaking on transactions on Hive in general, reward transactions, custom JSONs, comments, etc. I think that between the Dash integration and onboarding and these meme communities that we're onboarding, the fact that we're going to have 10,000 monthly active users, which will be more than the existing, or before we, when we launched our proposal and said we wanted to get 10,000 monthly active users onboarded to Hive through INLEO, the fact that we will have more than 50% of all the active users on Hive being on INLEO, I think that we will have far more than 50% of the transactions on the blockchain. And I don't know if that'll be like right by the end of this year or like shortly after, but I do predict that that's going to happen. Our need for resource credits has already grown, and we're going to need to power up a lot of Hive in order to keep up with all this onboarding. So we've got about 3 million Hive power right now, but I think that INLEO is going to need somewhere closer to 10 million Hive power in 2025. And I've got some cool announcements on that front in terms of buying Hive and staking it that we'll kind of talk about as the end of the year approaches and 2025 begins. But I think INLEO's stake in Hive power is going to be probably 3x what it is now in 2025. So I'm pretty excited to talk about that. But right now, the 100% focus is on getting to 10,000 monthly active users, and then we'll get into all that stuff too.
Nice. Madbanga Threadcast not updating makes it really hard to engage with these. Yeah, but I mean, as Cal has mentioned, there's sometimes some updates that temporarily hinder another one, but it's being worked on. Guys, it's nice to see comments, but ask questions for Cal. Okay, we got this one from self-help for trolls. Yeah, V2 is so fast. Fix the bugs and kick 3Speak into gear, and we are so solid. Yeah, well, like Cal has mentioned in the past, there's only so much that we can do about 3Speak, but they are getting there.
I asked this question a few weeks ago, and I'll ask again because I forgot. Right now, I know it's coming in a UI update, I think next month. Right now, someone that writes subscriber only content, where's the easiest place to find that content they wrote, since it's not, available in the user profile right now?
Sorry, can you say that again? My audio keep cutting out on X.
Oh, good. Subscriber content that a user publishes, like, that they write, where can they best find those posts, since it's not, like a link in the profile UI yet?
In terms of subscriber only blog posts?
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
write a subscriber only blog post, where would you go to see it after you post
See
it?
your own?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just go to, we're, like I said before, we're doing a big profile update soon after the Dash stuff. That'll include adding, subscriber only stuff to the profile specifically. But For now, use the articles tab and then subscriptions, and you can just scroll through it and find yours based on the timestamp. I would say that's just the easiest way of doing it.
Makes sense.
You could also bookmark them. So like if you wanted to keep them all in one place, every time you post, you could just bookmark them. That's like a little workaround in the meantime.
Yeah.
And obviously, since you're a creator with a creator sub, you're already premium, so you have access to the premium feature, which is bookmark folders. So you could just create a folder for it.
Indeed. Well, right now, I'll just wait for anything to happen. After all the super speed, last minute or two, I'm just getting a circle when I try and refresh. But that might be my internet connection. I got a lot of stuff running right now.
I'm seeing a lot of uncertainty. I know that we already passed to the INLEO side of things, but a lot of uncertainty in the timeline, well, on the feed about the elections. I really don't know what's going to happen.
Volatility.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. And that's the only thing that we know is going to happen. Watch me be wrong. And things barely move. That would be hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I was talking with a friend, and we're seeing that there's two theories, that there's not a lot of moves, and there's a lot, or I mean, of course, you have two options, but or there's a lot of volatility around starting around 4 p.m. EST once some states start publishing their early reports, and
Well, I mean,
yeah.
so based on like Polymarket and some other, feuds as of last night, I think odds makers have Trump at 57% was the last I looked last night. I don't know if that's changed
It,
today.
it went to 58, I think.
Okay. And that's high. Like you don't, this late, you really usually don't see the last few elections. That's like probably one of the highest numbers. This is my speculative opinion. I think one or two things are going to happen. Either it's going to be pretty clear that Trump's winning and he'll win by enough margin where there is no question and doesn't drag out, or it's going to be a hot mess. It's going to drag out for multiple days. There's going to be all sorts of drama. Um, and that second scenario, I think, is where you're going to get a shit ton of uncertainty this week, and that could create, a lot of volatility and a lot of turmoil. Um, I think those are the two scenarios. I don't see the third scenario of like Harris running away from it, running away with it. And if that happens, then I'll just keep my mouth shut and not get into any conspiracy theories.
There's this space running for 24 hours today. Kyle, it would actually be good if you attended. They are talking about the elections and what's going to happen and all of that. They have quite a few. I think they have right now, like, yeah, there's 50 people listening, 40 people on the live stream. So and then they're running 24 hours, like tomorrow morning at, I think they started at 10 a.m. EST. They're gonna finish, but it's gonna be fun because they're also gonna speak about some conspiracy theories.
I mean, if you're going to live stream for 24 hours, you'll be talking about a lot of random stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the deal is,
Very
but
true.
I can't get the Threadcast to refresh for me. So I will be useless looking for questions for the rest of the call.
Yeah, we got to get I'll try to have the Threadcast issue fixed before I do one for tonight. But yeah, should have it fixed tonight. Good thing we did Threadcast today because I wouldn't have noticed that before.
There you go. Live beta testing.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I put my Bitcoin short hedge on while we were on the call. I was like, you know what? We got a nice little pump. We're up 2,500 points. Could it keep ripping? Sure, but I was able to get into a spot where I was happy with my liquidation price if we do moon.
Yeah, I had a short hedge on because I was, dollar cost averaging into ruin the past couple weeks.
Yeah,
So as I was doing that, I was kind of liking into a little bit of a short hedge on Rune futures. And I ended up
damn,
closing it yesterday for a pretty healthy profit. And then I was so bullish on, like I said today, that I flipped it into a 50x long on Rune futures. So um turned that short into a long, and obviously it's doing really well already this morning because I did it at like 4:30, but like $4.30 per room.
damn.
So yeah, doing pretty well already. But I like I said, I'm pretty bullish going into tonight, even though I do expect a lot of volatility.
Man, I just got a timeout occurred. Forget refresh. I got a good old timeout page. Bye bye INLEO. Um, nice. Yeah, I haven't really done any active crypto trading or stocks either for a hot minute. Just a little dollar cost averaging and some content creation. I did my first seeking alpha esque type move or whatever, or like, hell, New York Times, where you can read like half the article and then it's like, to see the rest of this, subscribe, blah 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 blah. So I did a post reviewing, because we do like a book of the week with the with Walter's group, and I reviewed the book this week. So I'm like, you know what, let me share this and whatever my insights. So like I did like the first couple points, and then I'm like, to get the third and the fourth one, go see the subscriber post. It felt
I
so
like that.
cheesy. It felt so cheesy doing it, but and then the subscriber post has the full review, and the lessons that you can take away from the uh, the Millionaire Booklet was the book that I was reviewing. So, but it was I just got a personal kick out of it because I've like literally never done something like that. It's just
Well,
funny.
that's the thing. As a creator, you got to monetize yourself. And up until now, the Hive blockchain has never really had that outside of the rewards pool. So,
Yeah.
we have to kind of adapt and change our approach. So I think it is kind of funny that like you felt the difference of that. Because normally you wouldn't really be selling anything on Hive. You would just be kind of like posting your content and hoping people vote for it and trying
Yeah.
to connect with the right people and, maybe comment and just be engaged to try to get more votes. But now you actually have like a more business approach where you can, be more tactical and say, give out some of the content for free and then, like you said, give the rest out under the paywall or behind the paywall. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think
That
it's generally a net positive.
Yeah, it's that value add proposition, right? Because I think, with subs, it gets everyone to kind of think about, all right, where's my value add? Like where do I add value? Right? And then it's like, all right, sweet, this is the value add proposition where subscribers get this because they're paying for something that's valuable. So like for me, sharing my knowledge and wisdom when it comes to like investing in business and like leveraging that off of, like, let's say a book review even, right? It's like, well, that's my value add where I can essentially give someone advice, you know, on a blog post, through a blog post. Um, and it's like, if you want that advice, then you subscribe and you get the benefit of it, as opposed to, like you said in the past, where you're just blogging generally. And that's like you like posting your trades, right? And you're just sub only. It's like if people want to see what Cal's doing with crypto investments, all you gotta do is subscribe.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And then I also do like behind the scenes of development and talking about what we're working on. You get kind of an insider look and then having like a private sub only call once a month, basically private AMA.
That I like. I think that's a huge value add, and I think that's something that could become very popular down the road. Again, I don't
Yeah,
know, um, you know, the feasibility level for everybody with, the low price point. I mean, I think you need a lot of users. But for some people, it won't matter. Like they'll do it with just 3 or 4 subscribers because they enjoy doing it or they want to do it.
right.
But I think that's something that's going to become popular and I think very much will be a value add. It's like,
Yeah, I agree. Well, and you know, you got to consider it too, like in the scale and scheme of how much you make on Hive rewards, you know, from the rewards pool. Like there's a lot of people that create blog posts on Hive and create, you know, one, two, or three blog posts a day, and earn under $100 a month, from the Hive rewards pool. And they're still happy to make those posts and be doing that every single day.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, I was that person for 5 years basically,
yeah.
until I wasn't.
Well, and think about it. It only takes, you know, 20 subscribers now, and now you can make $100 from creator subs, uh, and make, you know, $100 from the Hive rewards because you're not going to lose
Yep.
those Hive rewards because you're also earning creator sub rewards. They're just
Yep.
two separate things. So yeah, you know, it's really interesting because we've just added this whole extra ability to be able to, earn outside of just hoping you get voted. I think
Yeah.
we just removed the entire like hope you earn strategy, and now you can still have that, but now it's a okay, how do I actually build brand and compel people that I have good content strategy?
And you also opened up another opportunity. You opened up the ability to have access to people. So like you said, like, private Zoom call, whatever. That's access that generally wasn't there in the past. Like it could have been, it just would have been unorganized and it wouldn't have been, it would have been like third party monetized or manually monetized. So now it's a simple path to it. And the reality is generally, people have audiences, and those audiences often want access to that person. So, a Zoom call, is as an example, is a step up as opposed to just like reading blog posts and threads. You get that interaction. So, build a following. I guess this goes back to, become an influencer. Because once you have a lot of
Yep,
people following you, they want access, and you can charge for that access.
absolutely. Access is
Push
something
the
that people love to pay for.
yeah, just saw your comment. Push a fix while live. Yeah, now I'm getting some updates. Nice.
Oh, let me try.
Solly me, go back to
Yeah, we just
work.
pushed a fix for it. Ahmad Manga said, "Is there no time frame at all for when Three Speak goes up again?" Um, I am. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything from them. I don't know if you guys have seen anything. I have pretty much as much information as you guys do in terms of Three Speak, but I do miss doing shorts and seeing shorts. I think shorts were like a really fun feature, and we obviously, you know, use Three Speak for the back end of those. So there's nothing we can really do until they're back online.
Dash is OG token by Brando. In my books, the tokens that were featured. I cannot read today. What's going on? The tokens that were featured on Rollercoin are OG tokens. Yeah, I remember when Bittrex, it's pronounced Bittrex or Bittrex, well, whatever. But I do remember that Poloniex, when Poloniex was a top exchange. Right now it's like top 20 or something.
Yeah. Matrix is the first exchange I used.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
I think it was one of the first ones I used too.
Yeah.
Obviously outside of Coinbase.
Can you believe that I have never ever used Coinbase? I mean,
That's crazy.
since I'm not in the US,
I was gonna
I'm not
say, since you're not in the
forced.
US, I actually very much believe that.
Yeah.
Why would you? I feel like when you're not in the US, there's better options.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I think it's just if you're in the US and you need to connect to a bank account.
Like the reality is, I mean, regardless of how people feel about Binance, if I wasn't in the US, I'd probably be using Binance exclusively.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, the
Binance is
only
amazing. It's just not accessible for us.
so here's a theory, and I just came up with it. But so Binance is okay. You have Binance US, but it's harder and blah blah blah. So do you think that if Trump wins, they will allow Binance in, and then Coinbase will lose their dominance? or
Heck,
do
I never
you?
even thought about that. I didn't think about everyone thinks about like, oh, if Trump wins, it's just good for Bitcoin because he's not anti-crypto. I didn't think about what that potential impact could be with exchanges and things like that. Huh.
Yeah, like I mean,
That'd
Coinbase could be
be,
lobbying, and that's the reason why. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's the main reason why, and that's just a theory as well. But you know how the Ripple guy donated, like think like $1 million or $10 million or something like that to Kamala, and I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Armstrong is secretly lobbying for the Democrats.
I would love to know Armstrong's actual position. Huh. Yeah, that's super interesting.
Taskmaster is saying we should have a much higher percentage of the total transactions on Hive. Leo should account for 50% of it. I mean, yeah, if you think about it with threads and with shorts and with all of the subscription content, we should be getting there at some point. Which you have to remember that we are 1,800 users on INLEO, and there's a lot of, but the activity in Leo feels way more active than other platforms because we have threads and we actually have threads users. The short form content hasn't really stuck on any other platform, but yeah, I think that it's not going to be hard to get to that 50%, definitely.
Do do we know what that number is now? Is there a way to,
Around 30%.
I mean, that's still pretty impressive given the number of users. Because I'm assuming the number of users, like the total user base of the Hive blockchain, and then the number of INLEO users. I assume that we don't represent 30% of the number of users on the Hive blockchain.
Yeah, not that much.
Exactly. So therefore,
Wait, what'd you say?
so I'm saying like we're pumping out, we're more active overall than anywhere else. If assuming this is correct, that if we're 30% of all activity on the Hive blockchain, right? But when you look at total number of users on the Hive blockchain, if Leo doesn't represent 30% of that, then that means we're actually more active than, our proportion, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, I think we are more active, and I think we represent like 20% of all Hive users right now.
Yeah, so it's
So
pretty
yeah,
pretty awesome.
yeah, I agree. And I think by the end of this year, we'll have more than half of all Hive users.
I mean,
Because
the
not
year's
because
over
we're
in less
going
than
after
2 months.
existing, but yeah, I know. Not because we have more share of the existing Hive users, but because we grew the entire Hive user base and they're all on INLEO,
Yeah.
all the new users. So do we have a timeline for the INLEO Dash integration? Asks Beehiver. That we're likely to enter testing before the end of this week. Like I said, we're already testing the Leo Dex side of things, so we're already testing the payments side of things. But now we need to finish the light account integration and then test that. And then once I'm satisfied with the testing, then we'll start working with the Dash team on PRs and getting releases out into the public and then pushing it live. But they're going to make it huge with their community. So it's going to be a pretty explosive moment when it does go live. I'm expecting kind of a massive surge in users and activity. So that's why V2 was really important. And then, getting some other key pillars were also very important as well.
So, what just popped in my head when it came to all the Dash stuff is that, well, one, Dash has been around for a long ass time. Um, but also just the overall money, aka capital or whatever that's available, because um, we're thinking about like obviously, user base number of users, but when you have users that actually have capital, you know how much that more that moves the needle potentially, especially if like they want to get involved. Like think about it, someone that owns a crap ton of Dash, right? They've been in part of the Dash community for freaking 8, 9, 10 years, right? They have a ton of Dash, and it's like, hey, I like this Leo thing. Let me get some exposure to it, right? And they'll just, buy. 250,000 Leo, right? Like it's no big deal. Like it's a normal thing, right? That's huge as opposed to like when you're onboarding, let's just say people that are quote unquote broke, right? Or starting from scratch, right? That moves the needle very differently in terms of just capital um, flowing around in the INLEO universe.
Right.
So that's something I didn't think about that I'm interested in because I don't know the Dash community well, but I feel like it's not like this super broke community. I mean, the reality is like it sounds bad, but when it comes to blockchains and crypto communities, I mean, Hive is generally on the lower side of the economic scale. So Dash is probably gonna be a net positive just in terms of that, like just from a straight monetary viewpoint.
Yeah, I have to agree with this, especially because, when you have people with wallets, with big wallets, they buy into a token and they don't just lump sum into it. They might buy at 3 cents, and then when they see more price action at 4, they buy again to push the chart, and they just paint the chart. And this happens a lot with VC-backed tokens and with whales that find these new tokens very early. They just get in at a very early price and they just keep going up, and they just sell their initials at one point and they keep riding the chart. And that's how all of these tokens, these new tokens, these meme tokens get to 300, $500 million because there's money behind them. And they just paint the charts, they let the dumps happen, they defend key support levels, and they just keep they buy again, so the chart looks good, so you have an uptrend, etc., etc. So yeah, I 100% agree with this.
Yeah, Matt, I mean, that overall just brings attention to a coin and to a platform, right? Because even if like let's take the devil's advocate side of it, right? The person that's like, oh, well, I don't want, whales coming in and pumping and dumping Leo. And it's just like, you know what? I do, because it's still more capital in the system. It still creates more attention and whatever. If I got to deal with some volatility to get those net benefits at the end, why not? Right? Like we live in an attention economy, right? So whatever brings attention to something, like the saying goes, that's been going, been around for 100, 200 years. There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be interesting what happens with the Dash user base in terms of that side of it.
Yeah, they could look at INLEO or at the Leo token as their dark horse kind of bet for this cycle. And as once a few people get in and the word spreads, the sell pressure on Leo is not huge. It's actually very, very low. So a few $1,000s buy pressure can attract more users and more eyes. And there's also these guys who are just looking for volume. And if we start getting volume, we will start getting buys from people who are just looking to ride at 2, 3x. And that's nice. That's okay because they bring volume. So yeah, I agree with you, Kat.
Yeah. So, and that's just a different angle. Like I said, that's the kind of just looking at it from the monetary side. Then the other side is the community side. So, but these are all, spokes, so to speak, in the wheel.
Yeah, and Godfish said these people would then not be into earning a few dollars a week threading or trying to become a content creator with subscribers. Um, I disagree. I think, and obviously if you take a negative mindset to everything, then everything's going to be negative. There's two key pieces to INLEO and, the proposition of using INLEO as a platform. And when I describe it to people and these other communities and ecosystems, they get really excited by it. So the two key pieces to it are one, monetization, and two, censorship resistance. So you obviously have the monetization aspect. Look at what happened on X when people started finding out that they could earn anything on X. It was like people lost their minds. They got super excited. Obviously, it's only the top 1% of creators that can even earn anything. People like earning anything. I mean, even like there's a famous funny saying, like even a billionaire will stop to pick up $100 bill off the ground, even though it makes no financial sense for them to do so. There's something about free money or the sense of it that people love. And I don't think that will ever go away. So even if someone earns $10 a week, making some content on INLEO, I think that that's exciting enough to them that they like it. And you'll see people run miners at a loss just because they like the idea of like something's coming in. Like from an energy perspective, they're probably losing money on that miner, but they'll still run it because they're getting dollars flowing in, and there's an addiction to that. Even gambling, like most people lose money gambling, but they still do it because there's an addiction to the money coming in. So obviously, INLEO is a much more positive aspect of that, which is like you're just putting in time and hopefully good quality time that you actually enjoy putting in because you're, interacting with threads, writing blog posts that you actually enjoy creating. And then you're earning something for it, which is better than nothing, which is what they're earning everywhere else. So that's the monetization aspect. They also, maybe even more than the monetization aspect, they love the fact these are crypto people. So you have to keep that in mind. There are people that already love crypto. They already love the idea of blockchain. They want to do things on the blockchain and they will go out of their way to do things on the blockchain. So when I start to tell them that every single thread, every blog post, every comment, every upvote, every vote on a poll, when I tell them that all of this stuff gets recorded on the blockchain and cannot be censored from the blockchain, they get extremely excited about that part. So it's like this duality of like you both have the monetization and you have the censorship resistance of everything getting put on the chain. They love that. So yeah, I mean, I think if you look at things from a negative perspective, and there's a lot of people that are glass half full people that will never understand it, it's easy to poke holes into it and try to think that it won't work. But if you look at it from the perspective of these are blockchain people, they want to earn crypto and they also want to put things on the blockchain in a censorship resistant way, they can do all those things on INLEO and they can't do it anywhere else.
It's funny. It was sitting out there, but I didn't really realize it. But that is actually the most exciting thing, I think, to date when it comes to user onboarding is that the Dash community is a community full of nothing but qualified leads. Because that's always been the big issue of onboarding people from like, let's say from X is like they're not crypto people. And it's like, and I've seen this firsthand. Like think about all my like real estate people like I onboarded, right? I had to teach them crypto from like square one. They knew nothing about crypto, and then obviously learning, and then getting access to Hive and Leo and all that is not the easiest for the non-crypto user. So this is the first time where we have a large potential group of completely qualified leads to come on and get involved. That's awesome. That's actually literally the most exciting thing in terms of onboarding to date that has come across um, my attention personally.
I agree. Yeah, the qualified leads, I like the way you put that too. I hadn't really thought of it in those terms, but qualified leads is definitely a great way to put it. Same thing with all the meme communities that we're onboarding. So I rethreaded the Super S community. I'll put it in the threadcast too. The Super S community made their first thread. They made some personal accounts and they also made their official community account. So let me grab that and then share it in the threadcast. Um, but yeah, it's, these are all qualified leads, whether it's a meme community or, the Dash community. It's people that are into crypto for the fact of, the cryptocurrency part and the blockchain part. So when you keep those two things in mind, I think it creates a really powerful network effect for us.
Yeah. And I mean, hell, and Dash is even, more of a qualified community because correct me if I'm wrong. I think my memory serves me correct, but Dash is a privacy coin, right?
It's not necessarily a privacy coin. It's more of a payments coin.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a privacy coin.
Trying to think of what
Um,
those, because I mean, I remember
you're
in the
thinking of
early
like
like
Zcash or something else
yeah,
like that.
early Hive days, there was a handful of coins that, Hivers were into. Dash was one of them. And
Yep.
there was like one or two others, but I remember one of them was considered a privacy coin. So it might not have been Dash. Can't remember the other two coins that people generally messed with. But either way, qualified leads.
Qualified leads are the key. Yeah, we're in the end game, if you take it from we're in the end game now. We've got all the technology, we've got the referral system in place, we've got creator subs in place. We're getting the Dashlight accounts in place. All of this stuff has been like the critical infrastructure to onboard the 10,000 users that we've been talking about all year. And last month we had an all-time high in terms of monthly active users. I expect this month to be significantly higher. And then obviously in December, I think it's just going to be time to explode in terms of having the Dash people, having these meme communities onboarded. We're ready. And I just had a call on Friday with the Super S community, and I was kind of walking them through some of the stuff on the UI as they set up their accounts and stuff, and talking to them about what we want to do with their community and with other communities. And they were just mind blown by the fact that this exists and they've never heard about it and never seen it. The fact that there's a platform like INLEO just blew their minds. The fact that it works as well as it does, it's all on the blockchain, the referral system, the, creator subscriptions. It was like I would peel back one layer of the onion at a time and they would just get more and more like, their jaw would just drop even more and more. It was like, okay, yeah, you can make a thread and, oh, by the way, the thread gets posted on the blockchain. And if people vote it, it also earns crypto. And oh, by the way, we have Leo Dex, and it's a multi-chain Dex interface where you can trade Leo and other assets directly with other L1 coins. And oh, by the way, if you want to monetize yourself outside the rewards pool, you can set up a creator subscription, and you can get other users to pay you in crypto. And oh, by the way, if if the platform grows and we get more monthly active users, we have more potential premium users, and that's what buys the Leo token and gives it value. So as I was kind of peeling back, and then I started talking about Threadcasts, and then all the like literally just peeling back one layer at a time, and it was just like, how does this platform exist with all these features and they've never heard about it before? So it's really now we've got everything in place, I think, to take it to the masses. So it is the end game of, how do we get these users? How do we get people onto the platform to realize, everything that we can offer them and all the quality of life, being able to earn crypto. We need to really define these different target audiences because there are a lot of different target audiences. There's people on Substack that want to earn, more from their subscribers. And I think that that's a target audience. There's people like the Dash community who want to earn Dash so that they can go out into the real world and spend it through the Dash Pay app. And then there's people in other countries across the world, like, Nigeria and, Venezuela and all these other countries where they want to earn crypto, and earning $100 a month in crypto can have a, radical improvement in their life. So, doing all of these things is extremely important, and defining these audiences so that we can then put ourselves in front of them, and give them the right message so that they can use the platform and realize what we have to offer. That's the key to 10,000 users. So I'm really excited about all the things that are in place from a tech stack perspective. And now it's really just 100% of my focus is going to be on users from now on. So obviously still getting the tech done, in terms of, the Dash integrations, et cetera. But my focus is entirely on new users right now. You'll actually see I've been referring people in. So if you check the leaderboard, the last couple of weeks, I've been at the top of the leaderboard on INLEO, because referrals count for more points than anything else on the interface. So, I've been dominating the leaderboard because I've been referring in so many users and really just one by one helping them get active. Obviously, it's a lot of work, and they have a lot of questions, and there's so many different things that you have to teach them. But I've found that this has been really effective in terms of onboarding people. So I'm just going to keep grinding away at that, and hopefully you'll see my referral count just continue to grow as I get these people onboarded.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Kyle, it's all falling into place very, very, very smoothly, because in my opinion, on what I've seen from other projects, is that the bull run is to focus on users, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, of course, you can also do marketing in the bears, but I believe that it's better like how we've done things where we build a strong and bulky platform as much as possible during the bears so that we are more than ready for all of this swarm of users that will come eventually. So yeah, looking forward to the explosion of users.
Yeah.
Getting ready for the hockey stick.
The hockey stick.
Yeah, hockey stick chart. I'm doing this, and all of a sudden you get the curve, and then up and to the right. Hockey stick chart.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. I think the end of
Uh,
this year is going to be very telling for Leo, but
Hope you guys are
not
right.
financial advice.
You know what? I'm just gonna sit here, smirk on my face, and leave that alone. We've been going an hour and a half. I don't know if you guys want to keep going or what, but I'm probably gonna drop off.
Yeah, I think we're good. Wenanda said who will have the first 1,000 referrals. I'm aiming to be the first one to do it. So try to beat me, but I'm trying. I got a bunch of them over the weekend. I'm gonna keep getting more. Um, so
The
yeah,
race is on.
if we all try to beat each other to 1,000 referrals, I think it'd be pretty funny what happens to the Leo token price as the monthly active users climb. But yeah, that is that's up to us, the community, to make happen. But yeah, I think we're all caught up threadcast wise. Do you guys have any closing thoughts before we jump off?
Sit back and enjoy the show tonight.
It's gonna get wild. I think I'm gonna start looking at Binance perpetuals around 7 p.m. EST, and
Smart.
then it'll run either way, but it'll
Yeah,
run.
yeah. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I think there's going to be a lot of volatility today. Obviously, everything's up right now, but I will put up a threadcast an hour before everything starts streaming, which I think everything's set for 5 p.m. Eastern to start. So expect to see a threadcast from me around 4 p.m. Eastern. And then I'll kind of drop updates and talk about the things happening that I see. And then that's not too far from now. It's only like 3 hours from now. Um,
Indeed.
so yeah, enjoy the show. Grab your popcorn. I think it's going to be
Right.
quite interesting.
Rest up. It may be a long night.
Yeah, definitely could be. So yeah, watch out for my threadcast for the show tonight.
I like
Um,
it.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody for coming. We will see you on the other side of this
Yeah.
election.
See you out on the blockchain.
Yep.
See you guys.
See ya. See ya.